U.S. figure skating champion Nancy Kerrigan was attacked today after a practice session in an arena in Detroit. It's not known whether the attack will prevent her from competing in an opening round of the championships tomorrow or in the Winter Olympics next month. Witnesses said a male assailant hit Kerrigan in the leg with a metal bar after she left the ice. She was taken to a hospital for x-rays and released, but there was no immediate word on her condition. The assailant fled and is being sought by police.
Officially, investigators are saying little tonight, but all day long the focus has been on the possibility that there may be a link to the camp of a Kerrigan rival and Olympic teammate. Correspondent John Blackstone has the latest.
Tonya Harding returned home to Portland, Oregon this week a champion, but now reports link her husband and her bodyguard to the attack last week on Nancy Kerrigan. The two are said to be heard on an audio tape plotting the incident in which Kerrigan's leg was hit by a man wielding an iron bar. But the story linking Harding, the 1994 national figure skating champion, to the attack came from second-hand sources and remained unconfirmed. Last night, Harding herself tried to stop the rumors.
Why does someone want to discredit me? You know, I worked my butt off for this. And if anybody wanted to, beat Nancy, it was me.
A local minister, Gene Saunders, told a private investigator he heard taped discussion about the attack. But today, Saunders wasn't talking.
I don't have any comment.
The private investigator, Gary Crow, says Reverend Gene Saunders identified one of those on the tape as Sean Eckert, Harding's bodyguard.
Gene explained to me that Sean was approached by Harding's husband and asked to put him in touch with someone who could do some sort of bodily damage to Nancy Kerrigan.
Investigators have been using video from just after the attack to try to identify the man who hit Kerrigan. Enhanced video appears to show the suspect running away. Accusations that a skating rival's family might be responsible are shocking, but winning an Olympic gold medal in figure skating can be worth millions of dollars in endorsements. Now, both of America's gold medal hopefuls in women's figure skating have an added burden as they prepare for next month's Olympics. John Blackstone, CBS News, Portland.
Developments in the Nancy Kerrigan attack investigation with links to the camp of her Olympic arch rival, Tonya Harding. Good evening. It's been a day of rumor and speculation in the case of Olympic skater Nancy Kerrigan as we learn more about just who might have attacked her and why. Eye to Eye's Bill Lagatuda is in Portland with tonight's developments. Bill?
Connie, if it's true, you couldn't make up a story like this. The characters, a world-class skater, a husband, a bodyguard, and alleged hitman. Tonight, the authorities continue to focus on the following people. Jeff Gillooly, Tonya Harding's reconciled ex-husband. Is he the man who masterminded the attack on Kerrigan? A warrant may be issued for his arrest. The burly man, always at Tonya Harding's side, he is Sean Eckert, her bodyguard, and the newspaper here reports he has confessed the husband hired him to find a hitman. The question of the day, was Tonya Harding herself part of this alleged conspiracy? Our sources confirm no warrants have been issued for her. As for who actually carried out the attack on Kerrigan, the police here in Portland are questioning Derek Smith of Phoenix, reportedly the man who drove the escape car. And they're looking for one other man, Shane Stant of Portland, reportedly the one who actually hit Kerrigan in the knee. Connie, tonight we've been in contact with Tonya Harding through her family. They say she's fine here in Portland, but not yet willing to talk about the attack on Kerrigan or these new allegations.
Thank you, Bill. Eye to Eye spent the day with Nancy Kerrigan in Boston. She's trying to get back in shape for next month's competition in Norway.
I really think I'll be ready for the Olympics, definitely. But, I mean, I would like to say definitely. We'll see. My knee's the boss right now.
Kerrigan did say she's amazed at how much better she already feels just 1 week after the attack.
Are you still going to the Olympics? I don't know. You don't know? I want you to take this from me, okay? Tonya, what's your reaction to Jeff's arrest?
Paul is standing by. Good morning again.
Well, Harry, I am back in the Northern Lights Hall where practice is going on adjacent to here. Tonya Harding back out on the ice this morning. This is her second practice session. She was the only one that showed up this morning of the Americans. Nancy Kerrigan was supposed to take to the ice early this morning. She's actually supposed to be on the ice right now with Tonya. We will, of course, go to that live when the two of them are on the ice together. It has been another day of frenzy and hype, and Martha Teichner has been following along.
From the moment they set skate on the same rink, every move they make, every turn, every spin, every laugh, every time they pass each other, hundreds of cameras are on them. Banks of big lenses are in position to detect each nuance, to capture the pictures that feed the speculation. So why was it yesterday morning that when Tonya was doggedly running through her routine, Nancy was out there skating as if a medal were at stake? But when Nancy was performing, Tonya stood with her back to the rink. Nothing to be read into it, according to Kristen Mata, spokesperson for the U.S. figure skaters.
Well, I mean, it's a shame that in some ways that it might have been made into a spectacle. But again, you know, you guys are doing your job, and this is a story.
One that seems to be out of hand.
We would like to ask the press to show some consideration and respect for the skaters. This is a training session not only for the American skaters, but also for the other nations.
The pandemonium puts pressure on other skaters, but not always in a negative way. Do you think it hurts your performance, or does it make you better knowing that there's all that extra stress?
I think better.
But few here agreed.
It's a little overwhelming, a bit of a circus. It's not really what an Olympics used to be like.
But it's what an Olympics is today, and like it or not, the Nancy Tonya spectacle is what everybody wants to see.
You just have to be part of it. You have to be able to go home and tell everyone a story. I was sitting there when the two of them practiced.
I think it was fascinating to see them, and I took the picture just to show others.
Just as soon as the show is over, everybody who stopped everything to watch, the athletes, the press, just clears out. In minutes, the rink is deserted.
And John Blackstone joins me now, who has been covering the Tonya Harding end of things for months now. Good morning, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here. Yeah, I have to plead guilty to being part of that media mob, I'm afraid.
Yesterday sort of was unprecedented, a frenzy here, security in place like I've never seen before.
They quadrupled the security here. The area that has space for usually about 30 or 40 cameras at the very most, and usually there are no more than 3 or 4. There must have been 500 people in there yesterday. Every fire law in this country was probably broken by the number of people in that hall yesterday.
As we talk, Nancy Kerrigan has just arrived at the rail here of the rink for her first joint practice session of the day. As you know, John, she was supposed to skate earlier with Tonya Harding and did not. Now, I think the one thing that we should make very clear is we shouldn't read too much into these practice sessions. You were out here yesterday when people were saying they didn't establish eye contact, they didn't even contact, they didn't even look at each other.
They ignored each other, but all the skaters, I'm a newcomer to figure skating, but all the practices I've seen here, the skaters generally ignore each other. They're thinking about their own program, what they're going to do. They're all competitors, all working against each other. It's not surprising that these two haven't looked at each other.
Both of these women have received threats since they arrived here in Norway. How seriously are officials taking those threats? Both of which I understand came from the United States.
Both were phone calls from the United States. One person saying that they were going to take Kerrigan out of the action so that Tonya would win. The other saying that they would take Tonya out of the action so that Kerrigan could win. But in fact, the security officials here didn't take all that very seriously at all. They said these both seemed to be people who were mentally unstable and were far enough away that they didn't have to worry about them. At the same time, they did increase security.
And all this is going on at a time when the criminal proceedings are still moving ahead, maybe not all that quickly, back in Portland. What is the status of those proceedings?
Pretty much gone on hold now. Harding's arrival in Norway really put the whole criminal proceeding on hold. The prosecutors there said that without Harding's cooperation with her out of the country, that they really couldn't proceed with the criminal investigation. They do want to ask her questions about one bit of evidence, and that's some notes that were found that had notations about Kerrigan's practice arena And if those are in Tonya Harding's handwriting, she'll have some serious questions to answer. They do want to talk to her about that. They haven't had the opportunity to yet.
And both of the skaters have just about another 40 minutes or so left of their practice session this morning. John Blackstone, thanks for dropping by. Sort of interesting that Tonya Harding didn't show up at the last Olympics until 3 days before she had to compete. This time she's going to be in joint practice sessions up until their first competition on Wednesday.
And watch closely all the time.
We count on you to do that. Thanks, John.
Okay, everybody. Nancy's going to answer some questions, and we're going to try and stay away from anything related to the investigation and Tonya Harding and her whole family. So if we can just talk about Nancy's skating and her rehabilitation and how she's feeling about getting ready for the Olympics. That's really what we're here to talk about. How's your knee feeling, Nancy? How's your knee doing?
Really good. Right now I'm a little tired because I've just had a hard workout, but it's great.
When do you think you'll be back on the ice?
Sometime in the next few days.
How have you been holding up through all this?
I've been watching you guys and just kind of laughing through the windows of the binoculars. But sorry. I feel bad. I feel bad you have to be out here in the cold. I'm a little bit crazy.
As you've been watching everything on television, though, what's been your reaction? I mean,
Well, I've been told you never know because a lot of it's all speculation. So once I'm told for sure by authorities what's going on, then I guess I can believe what's going on.
Nancy, do you ever think it's going to be for you when you're competing?
Assuming my leg's going to be okay, there shouldn't be any distractions because that's what I've been focusing on all year.
Nancy, are you going to have to the conclusion now, or are you going to stay here and keep working out here?
I'm not sure exactly what the plan is yet, where I'm going to be training.
Nancy, how does all this affect your mental preparation?
Just that actually this week I wasn't going to be training, so we'll see how my knee feels and how I am on the ice, and it just is probably a week or two setback, slow training. So I don't think it should be much at all.
Nancy, what is your reaction to the arrests and this whole? You said earlier it's like an interesting story if you were in the middle of it.
I really can't say anything about that.
Nancy, without talking specifically about the arrest, it's been such a bizarre week. Do you ever think this has been unbelievable? Why me?
No, not at all. Why would someone hit me? Yeah, but that's about it.
Do you know the answer to that question yet?
Pardon me?
Do you know the answer to that question?
I don't think I could ever understand the answer because I can't think that viciously.
Besides the physical setback, what sort of mental setback, if any, is there as a result of that accident or of the attack?
I would hope to believe it's a one-time thing and it's not going to happen again, so I really don't have any kind of setback. Mentally, once my knee's all repaired, I'll just be working really hard for the Olympics.
What's your feeling about how big a story this has become, not only in the area, but in this country, all over the place?
It's incredible. I think just because I'm a public figure and I've been, on TV for skating, that's why this kind of crime, I think, people get assaulted every day. It's, said all around.
In your mind, is it better that there is some explanation for why this happened? Is that better than the unknown?
I can't understand any kind of explanation why something like this would occur.
Are you prepared for a worldwide onslaught should you go to the Olympics and everything works out with your knee? All this attention 100 times maybe?
Well, they have lots of media and everyone at the Olympics anyway, so I was expecting that.
Nancy, in terms of your training, at what point do you feel you are now in preparation for February the Olympics?
The way my knee's going and swelling's gone down quite a bit. There's still a little bit. I'm definitely headed in the right direction and started little jumps and doing my routine on the floor and things today, so it looks pretty good.
Have you heard from any other skaters?
Yeah. Paul called, Paul Wiley, and Christy's been trying to get a hold of me, but I found out from friends. Isabel Brasa called me.
Sign any big movie deals, Nancy?
No, they'd have to ask my agent.
I see dollar signs in your agent's eyes.
I don't think so. He's interested in what I'm interested in, and that's just having the best performance I can have.
What do you think of Howard Stern?
Are you taking any extra
No.
security precautions now,
No.
Nancy?
Any what?
Any extra security precautions?
Well, I'm not going anywhere by myself now.
Think that'll be true for the rest of your skating career?
I would hope not. I trust, people, and I don't want to lose faith in people.
Apart from the arrest, is there anything you'd like Tonya Harding to know at this point?
I have nothing to say about it.
Nancy, when you say that you're getting some security protection, there's not an aura around here like there is with Miss Harding's retinue, where there are bodyguards, very well established and very visible people. Are you kind of maintaining a lower key approach to the security situation?
I don't see a reason. You're all, nice people. You're just doing your job, it's not like anyone's been coming down there and harassing me or anything. There's no need for any of that.
Nancy, do you think of doing a book eventually in the near future?
I have no idea.
Whatever comes your way.
I don't know.
On the basis of how you're feeling, mentally and physically, what do you think the chances are of you taking the goal?
Assuming I'm in the shape I was in a week ago, or a week and a couple of days ago, it should be very good. And assuming I can do the program of my life, It's up to judges, not me. It's always their job, not mine. My job's to skate.
Psychologically,
yes.
Are you over this? Are you having flashbacks to this at all, or how are you coping?
No, by the time I go to sleep, I'm too tired to think about it,
Do you think about facing Tonya at all over there at the same time together if you're both skating? Did that cross your mind at all? How it's possibly could?
I'm just really focusing on the skating and when I'm there skating.
Nancy, knowing the sport the way you do, how do you think the judges will react over there?
I can't answer for anybody else. I don't know.
Emotionally, do you feel like you're, any less now than you were a week ago? You seem almost unaffected by all of this attention.
Any less what?
Well, you seem like you're almost unaffected by it. You just seem like you're trying to...
I can't let it stop me, from trying to live, except for that it takes 10 minutes to get in the driveway, and I can't really go to Dunkin' Donuts, just pick up a cup of coffee. Because I have people following me. It's just, trying to be normal. It's not really normal to sit in my house all day, but...
Have you heard from a lot of other public figures aside from skaters?
No.
Kerrigan sent you a note or contacted you, is that true?
He sent me a letter.
And anyone else?
Yeah, a few. Senators and politicians.
Does that support surprise you at all the people that have called, written letters, and,
It's unbelievable how many letters. I thought it was unbelievable before, but now it's just in bunches.
Nancy, you're a very sympathetic figure at this point. Is this going to at all aid your career, once the Olympics are over, in ways that you can discuss with us, acting, movies, whatever?
I guess I'll have to see what happens after the Olympics or what happens at the Olympics. I don't know.
Any direction
can't say.
in mind?
Just hopefully I'll be doing the Campbell Soup tour because I always have a lot of fun. Besides that, I don't know what I'm doing.
Nancy, you talked about the thousands of letters you've been getting and the calls from the skaters, and we've watched people go up with teachers go up with letters from children. What has that all meant to you? Has it helped you pull through?
Yeah, it happens when I skate anyway, just support, and we think you're a great skater, and the letters from all the kids, it's really nice, and the support, it's a little too bad that the reason why now that they're sending some of them,
Nancy, I'm sure this has been difficult for you. How about for your family?
Yeah, my mom's been in the house for 3 days. We finally made her go out today. Yeah, it's been very difficult.
Do they continue to worry about you?
They've worried about me since I was born, so yeah.
Are you thinking about what's going to happen? What's going to happen when you go back on the ice for the first time?
What's going to happen?
Have you been thinking about that?
Yeah, they're not going to allow me to jump, so I think I'm going to be kind of bored just skating around, but, just to be out there will be nice.
You've been through so much. I just wonder if, after you're physically healed, if this will, you believe, make you any stronger, emotionally, mentally?
I've been working on that all year anyway, and I think I'm a pretty strong person, and with the parents and the brothers and just my family, we're strong people.
Describe what you mean by working on that.
Just like mentally for my skating preparation and not being distracted. 4-minute program with 6 triples. It's hard to concentrate that long, and just kind of being positive about myself.
Nancy, reportedly CBS assigned you to some kind of a deal, an exhibition at Boston College. Is that comment on that? Will you be skating here prior to
I can't confirm that yet.
We can't confirm that yet.
How anxious are you to get back on the ice and get going, and even from step 1?
Oh, I can't wait. I keep saying, let me just try it. No, you're not ready yet. The tissue still needs to heal a little bit more, but I just can't wait. Well, I guess the doctors know more than me. They've seen a lot more knee injuries than I have, so I just have to, wait till they give the okay.
Nancy, what would be the critical maybe moment for your knee anyway, or maybe your mental situation? It would not skating necessarily, but maybe the first time you try a double or a triple. Is that the big point in your mind?
No, we're gonna take it slow, the jumping, and once I'm okay to jump, I don't have a problem. I've been doing it for years, and.
Nancy, what do you hope to see when you wake up tomorrow morning and you look out your window? What do you want to see?
I'd like to hopefully know you guys are all somewhere warm and not outside my driveway, I guess.
Nancy, do you have any pain at all at this point? Cold, use of your knee?
I can only as of last night it was 137 degrees, and the normal range goes 155. After that it got a little painful, so we stopped, but after the workout today we didn't measure it, but I think it is a little bit more.
Nancy, if worse came to worse, would a cortisone shot be helpful to you?
That's never been mentioned, never even occurred to anyone. I don't think so.
Out on the battle, squeeze the victory.
Okay, any more questions?
Yeah, regarding any kind of potential exhibition, is that something that would be important to you to showcase yourself, to show anyone before you go to Lillehammer that you're back? Is that important for you to do?
I think I already did that when I competed in Norway earlier this year and at the Pro-Am competition in Philadelphia. So it just might be to get on the ice, and I have this strange feeling that there's going to be a big applause when I go out, and it might just, kind of startle me, so I'll just kind of, when I get out there, I'll just be able to be used to it when I go to the Olympics.
You've been through so much in the last week. What would be a perfect world from here on out? What would be a nice ending?
What would be? I don't know, just to be happy and healthy.
Is that what you're thinking about now, more than the Olympics, just being happy and healthy?
It's always the most important thing.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good luck, Nancy.
Good luck, Nancy.
Thanks.
Down.
Hi, how are you doing? Good. I don't know.
It's not going to be anything like this because it's like the middle of the day. There's no spectacle. Okay.
I don't.
Mid-late for everybody. Hi. Hi. Come on, you guys are here.
I'm going out there today.
Tonya, good luck, hon. Thank you. Okay.
No questions about anything that's going on. I can tell you anything you want to know about skating.
How are you feeling in terms of, you've gone pretty hard at it the last 3 nights. Last night you had a midnight session. Did you feel fatigued today or did you feel pretty good?
I felt better today than I did the last couple of days. I got a little bit more sleep, even though I didn't get too much sleep, but I feel a little bit better.
Why public?
Can I have one person at a time?
Why public now? I mean, this is a very public event. They've been closed before. You had a death threat here 2 months ago.
Well, I have to do what I have to do to train. And if I can't train at night, then I'm going to train when I normally do. Like I said before, I'm not going to let somebody try and run my life.
Tonya, what degree is this hurting your practice schedule and your preparation?
Yes.
To what degree is it?
A lot.
Do you feel like you got some support today? There was a lot of people that, I just came for breakfast, and boom, I saw Tonya Harding out there. Do you feel some support?
Oh yeah, everybody's supporting me, and it's really neat. It's really nice to see that people still believe in me, and I hope they still remain to believe in me.
Have you heard from the Figure Skating Association?
No, I have not.
Your coach said you skate best under pressure. Do you agree? I mean,
Oh yeah, I was under quite a bit of pressure this morning.
What was the pressure?
What do you think?
Will you skate in the Olympics?
I can't answer that.
What would you?
If I can, yes.
have you talked to the Figure Skating Association about
No,
that at all?
I'm not answering any questions about what's going on.
Tonya, does it feel like life is more back to normal now that you're back to the public and you can?
Not at all.
Not at all.
This,
does it feel a little more comfortable than
my life is on the ice, and my life out of skating, I don't think I'll be able to see it for quite a while. But I hope that I can be, back to my normal life soon.
When do you skate from here? Where do you go from here?
I do what I can do.
Olympic officials, Tonya, said that they thought it would make it easier if you would withdraw. Have you ever considered withdrawing?
No.
Do you have anything you want to say to Nancy Kerrigan at all?
I have nothing to say right now.
Tonya, you had a couple of tumbles out there. Was it the ice or just out of concentration?
Well, everybody makes mistakes. I mean, I can't be perfect all the time.
Did you feel good about how today went?
Oh yeah, Diane was excited. I mean, I go out there and I landed every single one of my jumps. I may make a couple of mistakes, but I've only been skating for 3 days since not taking, since taking off a week of skating. So.
And you're not playing it safe out there with your jumps. You've been doing some triples, a lot of triples. And
I did triple axel. I mean, I did 5 of them. I mean, I missed 2 of them, but I haven't done them in 2 weeks, and so. And this being the 3rd day back, and yesterday, last night I skated, but didn't do flip and lats and axel. I hadn't done axel since nationals, and I didn't do the flip and lats. I did flip and lats on Sunday and Monday, but I had ended up taking Tuesday off, and so I had a day off in there that I didn't do anything again. So the whole thing, it's really hard to concentrate.
What do you do about getting your rest, Tonya?
Association, if you can talk to them, they're going to vote.
I'm not commenting on any of that. You know that.
Tonya, what are you going to do now to try to get back your rest? You say you're tired and everything. Is there anything you can do to get more sleep?
I just hope that this all ends really soon, so I can get back to my life.
Tell me about that. What are all these lights, cameras? How does it make you feel? What's your reaction to that? People chasing. Talk about that. Okay.
I know it's your job and everything, but sometimes I'd like my privacy a little bit. But I'm as anxious to talk to you guys as you are to me. And as soon as I know something, you'll know something, and you guys will probably know before I know.
When will you meet with your lawyer next? Will you meet with him today?
Yes.
Any message for your fans?
The only message I can say is just keep believing in me, and thanks for all your support. And I'm going to do the best that I can for everybody. I do it for myself, but it's not just for me, it's for the whole country, and it's for Oregon.
When you're out on the ice, is that a special place of refuge for you? Do you forget about all the problems that are going on when you're skating out there, or are those things still in the back of your mind?
My skating it's my life, and I go out there, and I don't know, it's an out for me. I love skating. I have always loved it. There's those bad days, and I miss jumps. I'll have a bad day where I couldn't think or I couldn't concentrate, but everything feels really good, and I just go out there, and it's kind of, like I'm out there and I'm by myself, and Angela's training with me, and it's really nice. It's been a while, so.
Outside of skating and the legal problems, are you being able to concentrate on thinking anything else? Is there a way you get away from the skating and the legal problems? Do you do anything like read?
I don't want to get away from skating.
Okay.
My skating, like I said, is my life, and that's the only time that I actually right now I'm getting any enjoyment at all.
Tonya, can you tell us what the reason is that you're...
I'm not answering those kind of questions.
Tonya, can you tell us why you're not able to answer those questions?
You feel yourself, I'm just tired. I do in a way just want to sleep for a couple of days straight.
Yeah, as soon as this is all over, I want to sleep, and then I want to go back and just hit the ice hard, and hopefully I'll be able to train and not get followed around all the time.
Do you have any idea when it will be over?
I don't know. I'm hoping soon.
Have your lawyers told you not to talk about it?
I'm not to talk about anything.
Is that
Who told you that,
sometimes
Tonya?
you know that you can't? Sometimes when you just...
It's really hard because, I mean, people ask me questions all the time, and I don't want people to think that I'm trying to avoid them or anything. It's not that I don't want to say anything, it's that I can't.
Can you tell us why you're not able to say anything?
Because my lawyer said no. I mean, he's the boss. You know.
Emotionally, has that been tough for you? I mean, separating from him, as you said you have?
The whole thing of this is very tiring.
This is more fun.
More enjoyable to ski
I love skating in front of my fans and everything, but it's nice to be able to have the time to myself.
What's your boom?
Pardon me? Oh. It's a boom!
Watch your boom.
Yeah.
So, Tonya, what are your plans in the next few days? Tomorrow, tonight, tomorrow?
I plan to keep training and see what happens.
Will it be public skating?
Yes.
Will the support of the fans, will that help you relax and make it feel like things are kind of back to normal a little bit, even though I know they aren't?
It helps to relax knowing that people are behind me and everything. I just hope that maybe in the next couple of days people will let me get some privacy to myself.
Are you going to put oops there it is in your program?
No.
Forrest Washington.
Well, yeah. I might skate to power. So I don't know, as an exhibition piece, because there's 3 pieces if I get to go on tour that I would need. 1 major exhibition piece and then 2 encore pieces. So
do you have events or tours scheduled between now and the Olympics that you plan to be taking part in, or just strictly training from
okay,
here on out?
I'm done.
Thanks for taking the time.
Who?
Your folks and your family?
Yes. Thank you, everyone, and I'll talk to all of you soon, I'm sure, and try to let me get some privacy today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Great answer.
Thanks, Tonya.
When Harding's ex-husband testified before the grand jury during the weekend, sources say he implicated the skater in the plot and an attempted cover-up. Sources also told ABC News that after Gillooly pleads guilty Tuesday, he will make a public appeal to Harding to come forward and end any doubts about her involvement. Harding, who spent the weekend with friend Stephanie Quinero and her child, had nothing to say about the latest developments. In her only public statement since the allegations she was involved in the attack, Harding maintained she played no role in the plot to injure Kerrigan.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan. I am responsible, however, for failing to report things I learned about the assault when I returned home from nationals.
But Gillooly's lawyer gave ABC News details of his client's decision to testify against his ex-wife, with whom he was still living until she was questioned by the FBI. On January 18th, the lawyer said Harding told the FBI that Gillooly led the plot, but she told her ex-husband that she had stuck to a cover story, that neither was involved. But when Gillooly was questioned by the FBI, agents confronted him with a 46-page transcript of Harding's accusation. It was then, the lawyer said, that he started telling the truth about how much more Tonya was involved. The skater is scheduled to resume practicing for the Olympics today. The events of this week may determine whether she ever competes in Norway. Bob Jamieson, ABC News, Portland.
Will you be back in tomorrow?
Why did you come to the FBI today?
Look, fellas, no comment means no comment, all right?
Stairs. Do you think your wife will be arrested? After all you've been through, there's nothing you can say.
Why no comment, sir? Why no statement?
Is it going to go one comment for Kerrigan?
Here we go.
Are you coming back tomorrow?
Thank you.
Look, excuse that. Excuse that.
Are you coming back?
Can you tell us?
Everybody get out front.
You know, no comment means no comment, fellas. I'm not going to. My goodness.
Jeff?
Did you speak against your wife? Did your wife know anything about what happened to Nancy Kerrigan?
When are you going home?
When are you guys going to do something? Then I'll tell you.
How did it go in there?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it at all, and I don't know if they've concluded or if they're coming back tomorrow. I haven't had a chance to talk to the interviewing agent.
Can you tell us once again how this was initiated?
It was arranged through the DA's office. I had spoken to the DA's office had spoken to the defense attorney, and they agreed that he would come in. Beyond that, I don't know anything.
You have no idea whether they're coming back tomorrow?
No, I don't. Not at this point.
Is that
I don't.
possible?
They did come back tomorrow. What time will they start?
I don't know.
Are you coming back tomorrow?
They just asked me that. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to talk. I usually get in around 6:30, 7 o'clock.
So is Tonya coming back tomorrow?
I don't know.
So they're finished for the day, no indication?
They're finished for the day.
Would you say your end of the investigation is progressing?
Well, obviously, this is progress that he's talking, sure.
Bart, did you administer a lie detector today? Or
I'm not,
was he
I'm
given
not,
a lie detector
I'm not going
test?
to comment on lie detectors. I'll have to ask the DA about that.
So at this point, where does the investigation stand as far as your agency is concerned?
Well, we'll just comply with any wishes that we're kind of part of the rhythm section. I guess is the best way to put it. Whatever they want, we'll do for them. They wanted us to interview Jeff, and that's what we did.
Is his interview complete?
I don't know. I haven't had a chance to talk to the interviewing agent. I don't know if he's coming back or not.
Did they give you any indication of whether they felt good about the talks today?
No, I haven't had a talk.
Do you know of any other witnesses or anyone else that'll be brought in to corroborate what he's saying? Or?
I don't know.
So is the investigation being pursued by the DA's office?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's still the DA's office.
What did they talk about?
I don't know.
Why was the DA not here?
I honestly don't. I have no idea.
You said it was good that they were talking.
Sure.
So help us understand why now. Why did they stop now? Any particular reason why that? I mean, last one was 10.5 hours on this.
I don't know. I don't know if it's part of it.
Has he cut a deal?
I have no idea. I have to talk to the DA.
Why do you say it's good that they're talking?
Get more information, hopefully.
Why was the DA not here now?
I don't know.
So at this point, what is this? What's the next step? Thank you.
You can't say if he'll be here tomorrow.
No, I don't know.
Bart, you don't know if they completed the
Finally tonight, we look at the Nancy Kerrigan story. As we reported, 3 men have been arrested for last week's attack on the Olympic figure skater. Correspondent Lee Hochberg of Oregon Public Broadcasting reports.
Sean Eckhart, conspiracy to commit assault to, $20,000 bail.
26-year-old Sean Eric Eckhart was led handcuffed into jail last night in Portland. The 350-pound Eckhart is the bodyguard of Olympic figure skater Tonya Harding. He's charged with conspiracy in the alleged plot to hobble Harding's primary Olympic competitor, skater Nancy Kerrigan. Also charged in the conspiracy was 29-year-old Derek Smith, formerly of Portland, now living in Arizona. Newspaper reports say the bodyguard ordered the hit on Kerrigan, and Smith arranged with his nephew to do it. That nephew, Shane Stant of Phoenix, turned himself in to Arizona authorities today. Reports say Stant hit skater Kerrigan with a baton, driving her from last week's National Figure Skating Championships in Detroit. Today, Kerrigan said she's anxious to return to competition, but the range of motion on her injured leg is still limited.
I can only, as of last night, it was 137 degrees, and the normal range goes 155. After that, it got a little painful, so we stopped. But after the workout today, we didn't measure it, but I think it is a little bit more.
In Kerrigan's absence, Harding won the National Skating Championship. No charges have been filed against Harding in the assault. She's denied advance knowledge of the attack and offered no public comment since returning to Portland, accompanied by bodyguard Eckhart.
I feel really bad for Nancy, and, I feel really lucky that it wasn't me, and I hope that they catch the person that did it.
Just the same, she was unabashed in her desire to beat Kerrigan if Kerrigan recovers in time to compete in the Olympics.
I'm really happy, but it won't be a true crown until I get my chance with Nancy, and that'll be Olympics, and let me tell you, I'm going to whip her butt.
According to the Portland Oregonian, the bodyguard claims Harding's ex-husband, Jeff Gillooly, was behind the assault. No warrants have been issued for Gillooly's arrest. In Portland, where Harding is a homegrown hero, many observers suspect the alleged plot was an attempt to better Harding's chances for an Olympic gold medal and to grab a share of the riches she might earn. Sportscaster Lou Gellos.
Even Tonya herself has said she had those dollar signs glittering in her brain, realizing that the next step after the Olympics, after you win the gold medal, something she has said in almost these exact words, "I will settle for nothing less." That's her goal, and she knows what that means. It means the endorsements. It means those things that are associated with star athletes who achieve lofty heights, and she envisions that for herself. Other people close to her envision that for them as part of that entourage with her. And while the entourage is rather small, and what we're finding out, somewhat misguided, in fact, not somewhat misguided, totally misguided, I think maybe they saw a piece of that for themselves, and the motivation was not for Tonya just to win, it was for Tonya to cash in and for them to be able to grab a piece of that.
Pressure is mounting on Harding to withdraw from the Olympics in the wake of the scandal. But the U.S. Olympic Committee said yesterday, unless she is directly implicated in the attack, the only woman to have ever landed a triple axel in competition would be on the team. In Colorado Springs, the U.S. Figure Skating Association stressed that Harding does remain on the team. But as the story unfolds, the question is whether her performance will have the luster it might have had.
Late today, Sean Eckhart and Derek Smith pleaded not guilty to the conspiracy charges against them.
Next tonight, should Tonya Harding be allowed to skate in the Olympics? Today's news developments increased pressure on the figure skater to withdraw from the Olympic squad voluntarily and heightened pressure on U.S. Olympic officials to take action if she won't. Her former husband, Jeff Gillooly, said through his lawyers today that Harding helped plan the January 6th assault on her figure skating rival, Nancy Kerrigan. Correspondent Lee Hochberg of Oregon Public Television has this report.
Tonya Harding's ex-husband, Jeff Gillooly, pleaded guilty today to plotting the attack on Nancy Kerrigan.
Are you guilty of the allegations as stated by your attorney?
I am.
What is your plea to the charge of racketeering?
Guilty.
In a Portland court, he submitted a sworn statement. It declared Harding was part of the group that plotted the attack. He pleaded guilty to charges of racketeering, a charge, meaning he, with others, engaged in unlawful activities. Through his attorney, he admitted to 7 different illegal incidents relating to the assault of Kerrigan.
The first incident alleges an intent to assault or injure Nancy Kerrigan. The second incident alleges the illegal recording or interception of a conversation between a group of people. The third incident alleges a conspiracy to commit burglary in the first degree. The fourth incident alleges the actual assault on Nancy Kerrigan in Detroit. The fifth incident alleges an intent or conspiracy to commit perjury. The sixth incident alleges a similar offense relating to the perjury that was committed by Tonya Harding on January 7th, 1994. The seventh incident alleges conduct resulting in the destruction of physical evidence which was intended to hinder the apprehension of the members of this enterprise.
Gillooly is expected to receive a reduced sentence of 2 years in prison and a $100,000 fine in exchange for his promise to testify against Harding. Later today, Gillooly's attorney, Ron Hovett, summarized Gillooly's story of Harding's involvement in the attack and the cover-up.
What did Tonya Harding know, and when did she know it? What did she do to further the assault on Nancy Kerrigan and then to cover it up? The key date is December 28, 1993. That morning, Jeff met with Sean Eckert, Derek Smith, and Shane Stant in Eckert's home. Tonya knew that the purpose of this meeting was to discuss how they could prevent Nancy Kerrigan from competing for the U.S. Women's Figure Skating Championship. Tonya dropped Jeff off at that meeting and picked him up after it was over. Jeff took to that meeting approximately $3,000 in cash, the name of the rink where Nancy Kerrigan practiced, and her photograph. Tonya had personally obtained the name of the Tony Kent Arena a day or two before the meeting. After the meeting, while driving toward home, Tonya approved the plan that had been discussed and gave the okay for the assault on Nancy Kerrigan. The final decision was hers to make. That same afternoon, Tonya called the Tony Kent Arena from her home to determine Nancy Kerrigan's practice schedule. Later that same evening, Jeff and Tonya returned to Eckert's home. Jeff paid Eckert $2,000, and Tonya provided additional information about Nancy Kerrigan, including a magazine article which contained her full-page picture. When the assault had not taken place by New Year's Eve, Tonya became upset. About midnight on January 1st, 1994, she confronted Sean Eckert and Jeff at the Ice Chalet in Clackamas Town Center. She complained that no one seemed to be able to do this thing for her and demanded her $2,000 back from Eckert. After Tonya arrived in Detroit and learned that Smith and Shane Stant had also traveled there, she personally obtained the room number of Nancy Kerrigan and her practice schedule. She forwarded this information on to Jeff in Portland, who faxed it to Eckert, who then relayed it to Smith and Stant in Detroit. After the assault on Nancy Kerrigan on January 6, 1994, the FBI received an anonymous tip while Jeff and Tonya were in Detroit. The tip implicated Jeff, Tonya, Eckert, and Smith in the crime. When Jeff and Tonya returned to Portland the night of January 10, 1994, they were surveilled by the FBI and other law enforcement officers. The authorities watched as Jeff, Tonya, and Eckert meant to create a cover story. They watched as Jeff, Tonya, and Eckert made telephone calls to Smith on Monday night and again Tuesday morning from public phones with a talk and toss card to get the cover story straight. They watched as Jeff and Tonya drove by Eckert's house again and again Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning in an attempt to monitor Eckert's interview with the FBI. They watched as Jeff and Tonya drove to Elmer's Pancake House and reconnoitered the parking lot to see if the FBI was there. Before entering the restaurant to meet with Eckert, who was wired, Jeff handed his wallet and watched to Tonya because both of them believed he was going to be arrested inside. Jeff and I have known each other less than 3 weeks. In those few days, however, we have traveled a long way together, from denial to acceptance. I know that Jeff deeply regrets his involvement in this crime. He knows that he and others have brought pain and fear to Nancy Kerrigan, her family, and her fans. By this plea and cooperation agreement, Jeff hopes to bring closure to his own involvement in these events. Finally, Jeff has a message for Tonya. He hopes that she will now do what he has done and move quickly to resolve the charges that will surely be brought against her. Denial is no longer plausible. The truth about this bizarre crime has now been revealed. Thank you. Are there any questions? The motive was clear to both of them in about the middle of December of last year. Tonya had skated well in Japan, but in her technical program she had finished 7th, which resulted in a total finish of 4th. She believed that it had been politics, not her skating ability, that had resulted in that finish in Japan. In addition, it was clear to both Jeff and Tonya that Nancy Kerrigan was being featured by the promotions leading up to the United States Women's Figure Skating Championship, featured as the inevitable winner. This crime was born of the bitterness that those facts and beliefs created in the mind of Jeff and in the mind of Tonya. There were a series of discussions that ranged first from simply making a threat over the phone to Nancy Kerrigan, to making a threat in person, to finally at the conspiratorial meeting on the 28th to physically assault her. And it was decided at that time that a blow would be struck to her landing leg, the long bone on her landing leg. Whether Tonya Harding ought to skate in the Olympics, whether she has violated some unsportsmanlike or unethical rule of the committee. She lied the last time she talked to you folks, and she lied about her involvement in the cover-up. Her sin is not failing to come forward. We know, beyond any doubt, that she actively participated in the cover-up. I believe in due process more than the next guy. I'm a criminal defense lawyer. It's my job to ensure that people, whether they're guilty or innocent, are treated fairly by the system. I demand, on behalf of Jeff and on behalf of many other people, that the U.S. Figure Skating Association and the Olympic Committee figure out a way to give her that due process so that this 13-year-old girl, who is an innocent as well, can skate on the Olympic team with Nancy Kerrigan.
So what does all of this mean for Harding? Her attorney today released a statement on her behalf. It says, Jeff Galluli's accusations appear to evidence a continued practice of abusive conduct intended to disrupt Tonya Harding's life and destroy her career. Tonya Harding denies Mr. Galluli's accusations and all media speculation and rumors that suggest she was involved in the Kerrigan assault. Under Oregon law, testimony of alleged accomplices is not in itself enough to convict Harding. Ed Jones of Oregon's Criminal Defense Lawyers Association.
A co-conspirator saying you're involved is by itself not enough. There has to be some other evidence that substantiates what that person is saying.
So far, the prosecution hasn't charged her with anything. They have subpoenaed all videotape of Harding's statements aired on local television stations since the assault, hoping to find inconsistencies that challenge her credibility.
Tonya Harding categorically denies all accusations.
On January 16, speaking through her lawyer, Dennis Rawlinson, and skating coach, Diane Rawlinson, Harding denied she or Galluli were involved in the assault.
Tonya totally believes that Jeff is innocent. If she discovers that there's anything different than that, she will distance herself from Jeff.
2 days later, on January 18, Harding was grilled by the FBI for some 10 hours. According to Galluli's brother, that's when Harding first admitted to authorities that she knew about the plot, and she implicated Galluli. After the session, she announced she and Galluli's on-again, off-again marriage would be off again. The next day, from her father's Portland apartment, she told reporters she could not discuss what she knew about the attack.
Tonya, there's an affidavit out today that Sean Eckhart made
Galooly.
Don't ask me any questions. I can't answer them. So, I just came out to say hi. And
Then, last Thursday, she publicly changed her story.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan. I am responsible, however, for failing to report things I learned about the assault when I returned home from nationals. I know I have let you down, but I have also let myself down.
Harding said she does not believe she has committed a crime. Under Oregon law, there's no obligation to tell law enforcement authorities what one knows about a crime.
Just knowing and not telling aren't enough to make her a conspirator. To be a conspirator, she'll have to have agreed to do the crime or to participate in the doing of the crime.
While the legal battle goes on in Oregon, the question for Harding and her fans is, will she skate in the Olympics? The United States Figure Skating Association has convened a panel to assess whether Harding violated the association's code of ethical behavior. The panel began meeting today. Harding's attorney said today any attempt to keep Harding off the Olympic team might cause him to seek an injunction. And the Nike Corporation has pledged $25,000 to help finance any legal fight she needs to wage to defend her spot on the team. The United States Olympic Committee can remove Harding from the team as late as February 21, 2 days before the women's figure skating competition begins.
Late this afternoon, Tonya Harding's lawyer said that Ms. Harding continues to deny the charges. Attorney Robert Weaver told reporters he was appalled at the comments made by Mr. Galooly's lawyer this afternoon. He said they contributed to a media whirlpool and that Ms. Harding will not respond to charges except in a court of law. He urged the U.S. Figure Skating Committee not to remove Ms. Harding from the Olympic team based on the assertions of Mr. Galooly. So should Tonya Harding compete in the Olympics, which begin February 23rd in Norway? We have 4 views on that. Ira Burko is sports columnist for the New York Times. Philip Bondi is a sports writer and columnist for the New York Daily News. Gary Visconti was a member of the 1964 and 68 Olympic figure skating teams. He's now a skating coach and also president of the Southern California Olympians, an alumni group of Olympic athletes. He joins us from Los Angeles. And Jill Pilgrim is a sports lawyer and a member of the governing body for track and field in the United States. Welcome, all of you.
Thank you.
Mr. Burko, are these charges credible?
Well, they may be credible and they may not be credible. We don't know. There are no facts, hard facts right now, and it's interesting that Tonya Harding's lawyer said that anything that's to be proved will have to be proved in a court of law, which is normally the way we do things in this country.
Mr. Bondi?
Well, I think what we do have as fact is Tonya's own confession, public confession, that she in fact was responsible for covering this thing up. We don't know. At this point, I agree with Ira. We certainly can't convict her of planning it, but we can say that she was, in fact, involved in covering up the incident. And I would argue that that is enough to breach the sportsmanship contract that she has with the U.S. Figure Skating Association.
Well, what is the sportsmanship contract?
Well, it's appropriately vague. I have it here if you want to hear it.
It's vague, it's general, it's broad, but it has nothing to do with the competition itself. We're talking about a skating event. Tonya Harding, according to her, and if we do believe they're innocent until proved guilty, then we have to go along with what she has to say, that she had no prior knowledge of the assault. Therefore, if she had no prior knowledge, she had no effect on the results, or on the results of national championships, or on the results of the Olympics.
But what about Mr. Bondi's comment that she has admitted that she stayed silent at the very least?
Well, but that is not an issue as far as influencing the events themselves.
It's certainly an issue of sportsmanship.
But it is not necessarily an issue of sportsmanship.
Gentleman.
Well, I think that my basic view is that she's entitled to a hearing and to present her points and her evidence and any evidence of innocence that might be available to her. I think it's certainly not, as is stated, good sportsmanship not to divulge the attack or knowledge after the fact of the attack. But I'm not so convinced that that's enough to say you're going to lose your opportunity to be in the Olympics that you've worked for so many years.
Mr. Visconti in Los Angeles, do you find these charges credible?
Well, right now,
looking at what we have, they're creditable. But whether they're going to be proven is another story. We are all judged by the company we keep. And if Tonya did know immediately after the incident in Detroit, I feel personally that she should have gone to the authorities immediately and vindicated herself and talked about what she knew. That's number one.
And do you think that because she failed to do that, should that be enough to disqualify her?
In itself, no. But I can foresee Tonya skating in the Olympic Games, and with due justice of law, if things are brought up against her, it will take, of course, time. It will be after the Olympic Games. But unfortunately, this is all going to take time. As it stands right now, as an Olympian, as a president of the Olympians here on the West Coast, she should skate in the Olympic Games. But I think the United States Skating Association and the U.S. Olympic Committee are waiting for the proper authorities to come up with proof and evidence that she was totally involved.
Well, you're never going to get proof positive before a trial. And so I would argue that you're going to have to make some subjective judgments along the way. And that in this case, what she has admitted to, don't forget there are other victims here. Nancy Kerrigan is going to go through considerable trauma if, in fact, she has to skate with Tonya Harding. There is another skater who is completely innocent of this who would be eligible to skate in Michelle Kwan, and she, in a sense, could be called a victim of a conspiracy as well if she's kept out of it, in the broadest sense of the term. So you do have other people. The Kerrigan coaches have asked Harding to withdraw, and so you do have an initiative here to get Harding off the team.
Can I interject some rule of law here? I mean, I think that public opinion is just one aspect of this. There is an Amateur Sports Act that guarantees the right of athletes and others to compete in the Olympics. And the purpose of that act, and what I'm really concerned about here, is this kind of lynch mob mentality that says before anything is proved, just based on accusations of individuals who have a lot to gain by making those accusations, we are going to take this woman off the team.
But we're basing it on an admission, not on an accusation.
Well, that's one aspect of it, and I too agree with Mr. Visconti that just the admission of after-the-fact knowledge is not in itself enough.
And she did admit that she made a mistake. Now, I'm not sitting here and deciding as judge and jury whether she did or did not do any of these things. But the thing is that she admitted a mistake. So do we, and if that's all she did, and we don't really know whether she did any more than this, do we hang her for this? And by hanging her for this, in effect, we call a death sentence on her participation in the Olympics.
But we're not sending her to jail.
Wait, but if it turns out that she had absolutely nothing to do with it, then she was not allowed to skate in the Olympics.
But she said she had something to do with it.
She had nothing to do with prior knowledge.
Right. I'm just talking about after.
Only afterward, which is, again, nothing to do with the event itself.
Well, what about that argument, Mr. Bondi, that there's nothing lost by letting her compete, and then if the courts later convict her, it can be taken away?
There is something to be lost by letting her compete. Again, I remind you that Nancy Kerrigan has to put up with this and is not very pleased with it by what her coaches have said. There's another skater who would skate at the Olympics who will not skate there if Harding skates there. So there are people who lose a great deal if Harding does skate.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I know all three of the girl skaters and their coaches. And think about the message that we're giving to the young Americans who are Olympic bound or have Olympic aspirations. I think we're in a very grave situation here. I've been involved with the world of skating for 39 years, and I think that the authorities should try, at most expediently, to try to come to a decision with some solid facts.
Well, Gary Visconti, how can the U.S. Olympic Committee proceed here now?
How can they proceed?
In less than 3 weeks, how can they make such a determination?
I think they have to wait to gather the facts from the authorities, the law, the FBI, the state agencies. That's the only way they can do it.
There's another avenue here. What they can do is initiate a proceeding, a hearing, I believe, on the U.S. Figure Skating Association level.
That's correct, Jill.
So what they can do is initiate a hearing and let that hearing proceed and not wait for the criminal process, and I think they should. But ultimately, I think the onus at this point, I mean, it's very serious what's happened. There are all kinds of implications. There's a hard luck story for every person who makes an Olympic team. There was 1 or 2 people behind them who just didn't make it. And I think what needs to happen now is if Tonya Harding is truly guilty, she needs to withdraw. If she is not guilty, I support her effort to fight for her position on the team.
I've personally spoken with about 15 of my close friends and the Olympian alumni. And I think for the sake of the Olympics, for the sake of everyone involved, and for sake of our country as far as competing top-notch, I personally would advise her to withdraw at this time. And that does not at all show that she's guilty.
See, I have a totally different view of this. I see the Olympics not as a sacred right, because we've known what the Olympics have been all about. There's been so much hypocrisy, so much of cheating going on. I mean, I see it as a sports event. And I know there are a lot of flags being waved, and there are a lot of anthems being played, but I still see it as a sports event. And when Gary talked about this, a message being sent to the young skaters, I think he's wrong, as far as I'm concerned, in the message. The message is greater than that, and the message has to do with the with the fundamental principles of this country, and that is you're innocent until proved guilty, and due process.
What about that, Mr. Bondi, that really the legal standard should apply here, and anything less
well,
just robs
I'm
her?
astounded that I appear to be in the minority as far as believing that covering something like this up should not be enough to bump somebody from the Olympics. I'm astounded that here's one of the most heinous...
All you have is an accusation. You're
No.
taking,
We're talking
you're
about
taking
the admission
after
now.
the fact
Right.
knowledge
After
and then adding to it that she covered up. I mean, cover up to me
she
implicates
said
her in doing a lot of things to, and you know, that's
She
what
said she
happens. You
was
take a little
aware.
bit of information and you expand it, and then you have you know, something that's bigger than what was really stated in the first place.
What if the district attorney's office does release some of these, I guess, tapes of conversations or videotape that they have that Mr. Hovitt, Galluli's lawyer, just referred to, and so a cover-up is established? Then what would your position
She's
be?
entitled to a hearing at which she can explain what she said, why she said it, what the context of it is. You can take any piece of tape and present it and then say it meant one thing when it really meant something else. She's entitled to present her defense or her explanation if in fact there is one.
And even though all this sounds credible, and it may very well be, but we have to also understand that today Mr. Gillooly admitted to an intent to commit perjury and to conspire to perjure. And he also took a plea bargaining. The maximum sentence was 20 years and $300,000. He took 2 years and $100,000. So he had some motivation for some of the things he was doing today.
Other sports.
Let me just ask Mr. Visconti this. Apparently, according to these reports, her lawyer is saying she will only answer the charges, though, in a court of law. Does that tie the U.S. Olympic Committee's hands, then?
I'm not an official of the Olympic Committee, but it's my personal opinion, being involved, that if there was a hearing and if she was brought to Colorado Springs or wherever the hearing was, she must answer honestly. That's number one. And the facts that she gives them, of course, will be creditable into a decision. Whether that decision is going to be able to be made prior to the women's skating event on the 23rd of February is another story. We do have a 48-hour grace period that we can replace Tonya within 48 hours prior to the women's event.
And must she participate if they call her?
If they call her to be on the team?
No,
or to be
if
in
they
the
call
hearing?
her to come to a hearing.
Well, I think she would be pretty foolish not to appear
Jill, I
and
agree
defend,
with you. I
and
agree with
defend
you 100%,
herself.
yes.
Yeah. I can speak from my experience sitting on arbitration panels for USA Track and Field, where we have hearings on a regular basis, mainly on issues of drug doping. And I can tell you that I've sat on a panel of arbitrators where all the evidence and information that was presented to me before the hearing appeared to implicate the athlete. And then there have been witnesses who have come in and have given testimony that I felt intuitively were lies. And then the athlete has sat in front of me and very openly appeared to tell the truth and change my opinion, because people around them tried to cover up for the mistakes that they made, and the athlete came in and said, look, this is what happened, and was very honest. And I've sat on panels where that's happened, so I know that it is very important to have that hearing and to get all the facts on the table.
And we've seen in so-called obvious cases, open and shut cases, the Menendez trial recently, the prosecutor said, this is an open and shut case. The jury couldn't convict. We saw this in the first Rodney King trial. We've seen this in the Bobbitt
But again, we're not
case.
trying to send Tonya Harding to jail here. We're trying to bump her from what you yourself said is just a sporting event.
Why are you not trying to send her to jail? If she did something illegal, in your theory, you should have sent her to jail.
That is a different process. It's a completely different process and a far more serious
Again,
one.
she admitted to a mistake as far as, which had nothing to do at this point with the activities and the sports events involved. Because of that, I say let her skate in this sports event in Norway.
Well, Mr. Burko raises a point, which is, what is the U.S. Olympic Committee's major responsibility? I mean, are the factors that are most important the responsibility to the athletes? Is it to sportsmanship? Is it to the U.S. chances for competing successfully? What are they supposed to really look at, Mr. Burko?
Well, the U.S. Olympic Committee is going to try to have the so-called cleanest kinds of Olympics, send the best people possible. Of course, Tonya Harding won the national championship. Even if Kerrigan had been in it, Tonya Harding would have come in. If Kerrigan would have won, Tonya Harding would have come in second. Both of them would have gone to the Olympics. But yeah, the USOC, besides wanting to keep an image, they have to be very conscious of their image. There's money involved for all these people. They want to try to send the best and cleanest and purest possible team.
They
would be more than happy to get Tonya Harding out of this thing.
It says, yeah, they would be, I believe.
And
the
Leroy Walker said so.
USFSA's Code of Ethics. Members must exemplify the highest standards of fairness, ethical behavior, and genuine good sportsmanship in any of their relations with others, and any person who acts, statements, or conduct is considered detrimental to the welfare of figure skating is subject to the loss of the privilege of the registration.
Right. Now Phil, you've been this may pertain to all Olympic athletes. This may pertain to all Olympic athletes, and you've been around enough to know that if this pertained to all the Olympic athletes, we might send 3.
That's absolutely true. And believe me, the U.S. Figure Skating Association is probably guilty of invasion of privacy on a number of levels that we can only begin to get into now in terms of monitoring the athletes. However, again, I would argue that that is irrelevant to this particular case.
Let me get the former Olympic athlete in here. Go ahead, Mr. Ascani.
Ira, I'm just thinking, do we have a precedent on this? Between the four of us, can you think of any international event such as this has ever been in the last 30 years?
Along these lines?
Along these lines.
Where someone's been attacked by...
Yes. I cannot think of one,
No,
Jill.
I can't. But as far as not allowing someone to participate in the Olympics and then something happening after, of course, it was the Butch Reynolds case, in which he contended that he was wrongly accused of using drug-enhancing chemicals, and he won $27 million in a United States court. He's never going
to be on the team.
Right.
Yes.
You know, Jill, I think we'd be in a lot better situation if we had 6 months prior to the Olympics.
Oh, absolutely.
We'd feel a lot more comfortable.
Time
but we
is
shouldn't
definitely
let the time
on Tonya's side.
And Tonya is counting on that as well.
Yes.
Let me close by asking you one question about public opinion, because apparently it is swinging definitely against Tonya Harding. Even this weekend, a CNN poll found, I think, 58% of Americans didn't want her on the team. The head of the USOC said public opinion would be a factor. Should it?
I don't think public opinion should be a factor at all. The people who are, the officials and administrators who are in charge of doing what's right ought to do what's right, no matter how many people are screaming any way they are.
Based on the facts, right, Ira? Based on the facts.
Absolutely,
That
Gary.
point of view is the reason for the Sports Act, to protect the rights of athletes, because if you leave it to the officials who have competing interests, some of them financial and some of them not related to fielding the best team, then you have situations when the appropriate people who have earned their spot on the team don't go to the Olympics, and we want to take that discretion out of the hands of those officials.
Jill, we have to be careful, Jill, you know, that in a situation like this is not an elected position. Tonya Harding was not elected by the American people as the U.S. skating champion. She earned it. So that's number one. So public opinion, because of the media swaying one way or another, either bringing some facts out and others not out, that shouldn't really enter into it. She earned the right to be on the team, and she's on the team. Now, if it goes back that while she earned the right to be on the team, she did some damage to other competitors, That's the story.
And if she conspired afterward, and if she concealed afterward, then she should be judged again in a court of law and made to stand any kind of punishment for concealing the conspiracy. As far as the events are concerned, that's a different story.
The polls also show, one last question to you, Mr. Bondi, that most Americans now think athletes are so motivated by greed that they'll do anything to win. Are you surprised at that kind of a finding?
I'm certainly not surprised by the finding. I personally don't think it's true, but I'm not surprised that the public perceives it. A lot of it does have to do with the media coverage of athletes, of the close coverage of contractual figures. We talk about how much money athletes make. We never talk about how much money the owners make. And I think that that's part of the problem, and it's part of the problem that the media itself has created. But again, public opinion aside in this case, I think that we have to consider the facts that we already have.
I can foresee at the Olympic Games, if Tonya and Nancy Kerrigan compete, it will probably be the most watched event since the Super Bowl. So the network is going to win.
Well, that's all the time this event has. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The world's best figure skaters had their final competition for the gold, and it was a photo finish. There was Nancy Kerrigan and a comeback kid from Ukraine, and Tonya Harding twice. There were spills and bizarre developments, a world-class event that actually exceeded its billing. Correspondent John Blackstone has the story.
Tonya Harding's long, strange Olympic quest got even stranger tonight, just as it was reaching its conclusion.
Representing the United States of America, Tonya Harding.
She almost didn't make it onto the ice. As Harding was supposed to begin skating, she was struggling backstage, adjusting her skate laces. And the drama didn't end there. She started skating, then burst into tears when she missed her first jump. As the Olympic event was thrown into pause, Harding complained to the judges that something was wrong with her skates. It seemed an almost identical replay of a Harding performance in October last year at the Skate America competition.
It's moving everywhere.
In that case, she was allowed to fix the problem and skate again, much as Olympic officials allowed tonight. When Harding reappeared, she seemed composed and skated a program the judges ranked as respectable, with scores of 5.5 to 5.7 for technical, 5.3 to 5.6 for artistic merit. That left Harding well behind the leaders.
I feel great. I went out there and I did the best I could.
We were really pleased with Tonya. Her skate lace broke. They laced it up. They put a new one in. It was way too short.
But Harding didn't provide the only suspense today. Oksana Bayul of Ukraine left her practice early, apparently in pain. Her tears outside the arena suggested she might have to drop out. Just an hour before the event began, she decided to skate. Nancy Kerrigan skated just before Bayul tonight and maintained her medal-winning form, thrilling family and friends listening to the action back home. But Bayul's performance was almost flawless too. Kerrigan earned scores of 5.8 for technical, 5.8 for artistic. Bayul scored 5.7 for technical, 5.9 for artistic. And that score was enough to give the Ukrainian the gold medal. Kerrigan had to settle for silver.
Like I said, I think I skated great, and I was smiling, I was happy, I was enjoying myself, I had fun.
This long-running figure skating soap opera with so many twists and turns kept up the suspense right to the close tonight. The only thing it lacked was the perfect happy ending for Nancy Kerrigan. John Blackstone, CBS News, Lillehammer.
Finally tonight, the other Olympic competition. For athletes competing in Lillehammer, Norway, there's more at stake than just gold medals. It's the riches that come with victory. But the endorsements can be as elusive as the gold. Correspondent Lee Hochberg of Oregon Public Broadcasting went along recently as Nancy Kerrigan's agent competed in his own sport, the endorsement game.
One of the things that we have wanted to do, going back for quite some time actually, is get to the point where there was a Nancy Kerrigan line of clothing. I hadn't actually thought about shoes, but...
As figure skater Nancy Kerrigan prepared to chase the gold in Lillehammer, her agent, Jerry Solomon, was chasing endorsement gold for her in Boston.
You can touch Nancy Kerrigan. She's accessible. She's a real person. Yeah. So if these were going to be shoes that were going to go in high-end boutique shoe stores, we wouldn't do it because she wouldn't be comfortable with that. And it might be exclusive to Kmart, which would be fine with me. I mean, they're huge. And maybe she becomes their next Jacqueline Smith.
Kerrigan is the hottest endorsement property of this year's crop of Olympic athletes. Her fresh-faced beauty and glamorous sport have lured manufacturers of products from shavers to shoes. New England shoe manufacturer David Nectow is sure Kerrigan's name will attract a typical female shopper.
I think subliminally she's going to say, hey, this is something that Nancy Kerrigan's going to wear, why, and I should be wearing it too. Whether it's true or not, whether or not Nancy will wear that product, the consumer's going to relate, hey, I can be like Nancy.
Action! Kerrigan already has filmed television commercials for Reebok athletic shoes, as well as Seiko watches, Campbell's Soup, Northwest Airlines, Evian water, and Ray-Ban sunglasses. Earlier this month, a frenzied Solomon met with representatives from Remington and Revlon. He settled on a deal for Kerrigan to promote Disney theme parks, and he inked a reported $500,000 Kerrigan movie deal.
Hello? I'm here. Where are you, on an airplane?
Then he talked to a literary agent about a Kerrigan book.
There may be another book here that would be more of a pictorial book about her with her skating and her different outfits, and just a, almost even a coffee table book.
Kerrigan has been popular since the 1992 Olympics, but her market value has soared since the January 6th attack on her. Were you interested in having Nancy associated with your product before the assault on her?
Prior to that, no.
She now will earn 4 or 5 times more from endorsements. She will get 4 or 5 times more press than she would have before.
David Burns, who casts commercials, predicts Kerrigan will earn $5 million in endorsements after the Olympics, even if she fails to win a medal. Winning gold could mean $10 million. He says rival Tonya Harding, whose roughhouse image might have limited her endorsement value to $50,000 without the Kerrigan assault, now will be worth nothing.
Zero. Absolutely nothing. Even if she were found innocent, she would still not receive any calls for appearances or commercials. Remember, Tonya referred to herself as the Charles Barkley of skaters. I mean, that's almost a kiss of death, because Charles Barkley can be Charles Barkley, but a dainty little doll-like figure skater is, you'd better not compare yourself to Charles Barkley.
I am not a role model. I'm not paid to be a role model.
The bad girl image that may haunt Harding doesn't hurt bad boy pro basketball player Barkley. He has this endorsement with Nike, the sports shoe company. Nike spokeswoman Liz Dolan acknowledges that even a hint of controversy disqualifies female athletes from the endorsement game.
We seem to need our women athletes to be the girl next door, but we don't require the boys next door to behave the same way.
Athletes are learning that properly crafted images can sell. Before basketball star Shaquille O'Neal ever set foot on a professional court, he and his agent mapped out an image for the 21-year-old they hoped would sell.
He's a combination of the Terminator and Bambi, which really blends two very, very different types of characteristics.
O'Neal's $3 million a year endorsement package with Reebok promotes that image.
Pulls down backboards, he breaks rims, I mean, that kind of thing. On the other hand, he's also very personable and doesn't let his size interfere with his warmth.
That's not enough.
Through promotions like this one at this month's National Sports Apparel Convention in Atlanta, Reebok has pumped $50 million into sales of its Shaq Attack sneakers, for which O'Neal receives royalties.
Well, our business in Shaq, year one, has been tremendous. Without disclosing too much detail, let's just say it's in excess of $100 million around the world.
Only 1 year into his pro career, O'Neal has a $12 million deal with Pepsi, contracts with Spalding basketballs and Kenner toys, his own rap music CD, which has gone gold. He's estimated to be earning $10 million a year off the court, with career potential of $100 million. It's less common for Olympic athletes to strike endorsement gold. Gymnast Mary Lou Retton did earn a record $5 to $10 million in 2 months after her 1984 Olympic performance. But very few of the 300 athletes doing endorsements today are Olympians. Advertisers seem loath to shower riches on athletes who quickly fade from view.
When you're on the go, it's easy to forget about taking medication.
And they seem to prefer females with Retton's pixie-like qualities.
Companies that sell products to women, in particular, are looking for beautiful women. So it's hard for women in sports. Men in sports are not necessarily judged by those standards.
I think that there are a lot of women out there that can do a good job, but, why Mary Lou Retton?
Female athletes find they also need to be in the right sports to land endorsements. Former Olympic and women's pro basketball star Ann Myers is a member of the Women's Hall of Fame. She was also married to late Baseball Hall of Famer Don Drysdale and is a mother of 3. She thought she'd be a natural for endorsements.
Maybe something with diapers or Geritol, because Nancy Lopez had done Geritol with Ray Knight and so forth. And so we were looking at different things, family products and also athletically or whatever. And there really was not a positive feedback.
Myers says corporate leaders are uncomfortable with the image of female athletes in seemingly unfeminine sports.
A businessman could really relate a lot better to a Don Drysdale than they could an Ann Myers, no matter how much they respect the things that I have achieved athletically.
The image barrier may be especially hard to break for minorities. Track and field champion Jackie Joyner has run slowly in the endorsement game.
Jackie Joyner is considered one of the greatest woman athlete in the world. There's no question about it. And what she earned is almost embarrassing. I mean, she got about 4 endorsements, and each one probably paid $100,000, $200,000.
And there's the case of figure skater Debbie Thomas, who electrified American television audiences with skating performances that won her the national championship in 1988. Thomas, then a Stanford University student, went on to win the bronze at the Olympics. National skating champion, top student, bright and outgoing, she still received only 2 small endorsement offers. She believes her being African American scared advertisers away.
You expect to see an African American in basketball or in football, but in figure skating, it's like, well, that's not what we expect. We want like this, cloned America's sweetheart. I don't know.
Thomas made $1 million skating professionally for 4 years and is happily studying medicine at Northwestern University in Chicago. But she says she's learned what advertisers are looking for.
You see Nancy Kerrigan and, she's a good skater and, but she hasn't really proven that she can really handle it under the pressure and, but they still want her for everything. And now this whole incident with Tonya Harding, it's like, she's got it made, it's like, I wish somebody had whacked me in the leg. I wouldn't have even had to skate,
The grace with which Nancy Kerrigan has handled the Detroit assault is only one of many reasons she's poised to leap to the top of the endorsement pack. A great athlete in the right sport, very feminine and not a minority, it's clear Kerrigan will be very visible in the months to come.